Hi, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mentally Fit Creative Diary. So let's get some things clear right off the bat. I tried to do this thing before with like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type of thing where I'm going over business tips, live writing sprints, and like kind of like a philosophical mental health check-in type of thing, and it didn't work. It did not work. I wasn't consistent. I immediately quit, and just didn't do well. But yesterday I was having therapy, and one of the things that I've been struggling with in therapy is my ability to have self-discipline. Not just that, but I've been struggling to sit down and do a journal every single week. So my therapist came up with an idea for me to take the journaling prompts that I have, because I had ChatGPT write out. I wrote out. Okay, so what I did was I wrote out my philosophy, right? My philosophy on life, the way that the way that I want to approach life and get better at doing things. And so I took that, I turned it into a PDF, and I uploaded it to ChatGPT, and I had it write out 90 journaling prompts that I can do one each day. My therapist said what would be good is to take one of those prompts and do a daily podcast journaling, doing an audio diary responding to these questions that I'm asking on a daily basis. My original pushback to this was nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares what I have to say about anything. I'm nobody. What value would I provide to an audience? And the thing she pointed out to me was that maybe no one, but maybe somebody hears what I'm going through and thinks I'm going through the same thing. This is interesting. And even if I don't have any solutions, just knowing another person is going through it might be helpful. And if I do have solutions or things I'm going to try, perhaps you can try them if you're going through the same thing. So that's what we're going to do. That being said, I still feel like nobody's going to listen to this podcast. Not this. Maybe the Mentally Fit Creative podcast, people will listen to that. But this deep cut diary, the self introspective audio diary, audio journaling thing is probably not anything anybody's going to listen to. But if you decided to listen and you're the one person who tuned in and listened to this, thank you. Thank you for listening. That being said, maybe when Oba takes off and Oba becomes like a big thing and people start to see me as an individual in the space that they want to listen to and talk to or whatever or study further, maybe they'll discover this podcast down the line and be like, oh shit, there's a whole like bingeable amount of content about the inner workings of this individual's brain. I promise you, though, I will not have anything on this podcast that'll be like, crazy tweets that people can come back and throw in my face 10 years from now. I promise I will not. I will do my best not to do that. But yeah, so the general idea, though, is going to just be I'm going to take one of the prompts. Like I said, I have 90 prompts, and I'll do another 90 when I get to the end of this one. But 90 prompts. And so each day for the next 90 days, I am going to get on here for 15 minutes, maybe 10, maybe 20, depending on how inspired I feel by the question, to talk about to journal about the prompt. I'm going to be completely transparent, completely honest. I'm not holding anything back. The way I see it is if nobody is listening, I can say whatever the fuck I want and it won't really matter. And if somebody is listening, then at least you know that you're getting the 1000% authentic version of myself. No masks, no bullshit, no holding back, no pretending to be, no posturing, none of it. Just completely me. And I don't care what anybody else thinks about it. It's just what it is. Okay? Don't mind my background and don't mind the lawnmower that's going off. That being said, today's sorry for the long introduction. This is probably the only time it'll be a long introduction. I'll try to find a shorter, sweeter way to say what I just said for those that are joining us on day, 93 or whatever. But anyway, so for day one, the journaling prompt is, what challenges did I face today and how did I respond to them? So it is currently 10:26 in the morning, so I haven't really had a whole lot of challenges yet. However, I will say this. The thing that has been on my mind consistently over the last 24 hours has been self-doubt. I have, and this is something that I've struggled with for a very, very long time. and I think we all do, but I think I have really struggled with self-doubt. When it comes to Oba being my company, when it comes to that, I am consistently doubting whether or not this thing is going to be it. Let me give some context real quick. 8 years ago, I lived on, and this is June 22nd, 2024. 8 years ago, I lived on my mom's couch. Right? I lived on my mom's couch. I was on disability. I was recovering from a thyroid cancer diagnosis. And when I say I was on disability, I was on SSI. I had EBT. I was in extensive therapy for the moment. I hadn't had a job since I was maybe 17 years old. Um, I'm 36 now, so 8 years ago, I was about 28. I suck at math, sorry. But I was, yeah, about 28 years old. Hadn't had a job in over 10 years. Actually 12 years, because I was 16 when I'd worked last. I hadn't had a job, had no intention of getting a job. As far as I was concerned, my life, um, my life was just a mess. My life was, and I thought that this was as good as it was going to get. I was absolutely convinced that I was never going to be anything more than that. And so here we are, 8 years later. I live thousands, not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of miles away from where I grew up. Um, I am married. I am a founder of a company. I have employees, or a few. Not a lot. I'm nowhere near where I'd like to be. But I have a few people that work underneath me that are helping me try to build this startup that I'm trying to build. I am in a school currently surrounded by other individuals um, who are doing really amazing things, and I'm learning a lot from them. My mentor, I have several mentors in different aspects of my life. And each of them has been invaluable in helping me to get to that next level. And all of this is not to brag. That's not what this is about. It's the realization that change is possible. All right. It's the realization that you can be more than whatever you think your ceiling is. You can be more than that. That's the thing that I've been trying to come to grips with. But no matter how, and I say all of that to say this, no matter how much progress I have made, I sometimes I still see myself as that guy on the couch. Sometimes I still see myself as the guy I don't ever see myself being a best-selling author. I don't ever see myself being a thought leader, a person who is a voice in a space. I don't ever see myself being a founder of a company that has, you know, hundreds or tens of people as employees. I just don't see that. I want to see it. I want to see it so badly, and it's the direction in which I'm going, but it's so hard to see it. So the big challenge that I'm facing today is that inner voice, that little voice inside of me that's like, you can't do this. What makes you think you can do this? And I don't know, maybe you have this too. Maybe you have that little voice in you that's always telling you, because and I know if you watch social media and you watch like Instagram and you see these like individuals that are like high net worth or high, quote unquote, high value individuals, and they'll tell you like they make it seem like they don't ever doubt themselves, like they don't ever like they never, it was never in question whether or not they were going to be the success that they've become. Not all of them, many of them are very clear about how, where they were and how they've made this journey, and that makes a great sales pitch for whatever course they're selling. But the truth of the matter is that most people, though, it always appears like they've never struggled a day in their life, or if they did, they're not talking about it. So for me, when you see people like that, and I know that the enemy of joy is comparison, but when you see that so often and you see that narrative consistently, you tend to question yourself and think, how will I ever be that? And so, how do I respond to that? For me, the thing that I'm trying to do, the thing that I am consistently trying to do, is I am trying my hardest to basically just recognize that every single thought leader, the Gary V's, the Tony Robbins, the I'm drawing a blank right now, but the Les Browns in the world, the just you get it. You get what I'm trying to say. All the individuals in the world that you see that are super successful, that do the things that they're doing, all started out right here. That's the thing that I try to keep in mind. I try to keep in mind that they all started here. They all started at a place where they weren't anybody, where nobody gave a shit about what they were doing. Nobody pops out of the womb a fucking influencer. Nobody pops out of the womb an entrepreneur with a net worth of, well, I mean, some people may pop out of the womb with a net worth of a certain thing if they're born to it, but nobody pops out of the womb a fucking influencer or thought leader or space. Nobody just starts that way, you know. People had to earn that, and there was a time where people spoke to empty rooms, where people spoke on a podcast mic like this for months and years, and nobody was listening. And while that was happening, they were building their craft and they were getting better at it. And I'm trying my hardest to remember that. I'm trying to remember that guys like the guy that's on my wall right behind me, if you're watching this on video, Muhammad Ali, spent hours and hours and hours in gyms fighting and punching dusty bags where nobody gave a damn about who he was before he was the people's champ. He didn't start that way. He walked up that hill. And I'm pretty sure that he doubted it just like everybody else, that he was ever going to be great. I guess that we're able to rewrite history when we get to the places we want to go. We begin to sort of omit that part of the story. But I don't know. I think that the best part of the story is the part of the story where people are able to tell the truth about where they were, the times where they doubted things, the times where they doubted things were going to come true, the times where they doubted things were going to work for them, the times where they didn't think things were going to be amazing. I think people had those moments, and then when we cut those part of the story out, it kind of ruins the whole. It makes it seem like these people are perfect, and you end up looking at people that seem like already formed gods, and they're not. They're not, and I think that that's the key. I think that's the key to facing what I'm struggling with. And honestly, to be completely honest, I don't think that I'm gonna overcome this thing tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to overcome this thing today. I don't think I'm going to overcome it the day after tomorrow or next week. I think it's going to take years. And, you know, a lesson that my film mentor has taught me is that even the greats, as a filmmaker and a person who loves making film and a big fan of many of the directors, but even those big directors that you know, guys like Martin Scorsese, guys like Quentin Tarantino, David Fincher, these guys like that, even these people who have have tons and tons and tons of films under the belt and have done so much and have so much experience, even they doubt themselves after you make it, which for the longest time I've always thought I thought that was terrifying. I thought that was depressing. I thought that was incredibly depressing. The idea that I could make it, like I could become a big entrepreneur, I could become a big name, I can make a lot of, I don't even care about making money, but I can make money, I could have a successful business, I can help a lot of people, I could be solving a problem, I could be a thought leader in a space that allows me to communicate and help as many people as possible. I could do all of that, and I can make films, I can do everything I love and still feel like I don't belong, or I don't see myself as the person I want to be, even though I'm doing it. And I thought that was depressing, but I'm starting to think that, you know what? At the end of the day, I think what it becomes is like 8 years ago, I didn't see myself being where I am today, and here I am. And now I don't see myself being the next level. of where I'm going to be. So perhaps that in 8 more years, when I'm doing, if I keep moving forward and I keep doing what I'm doing and I'm still alive, if all of those things are still factors, perhaps I'll still have doubt about who I am or what I'll be, but I would have still moved forward. I would have still grown, and I will be on a level different than where I ever thought I could be today. On June 22nd, 2024, maybe in June 22nd, 2000 and I don't know, 2032, I will be looking at life and saying, I'm way further than where I was 8 years ago, and I'm doing way better. But I'm still doubting and I'm still worried about what's next. But I think it's better to be worried about what's next as long as you're always climbing the mountain. I think worrying about what's at the next peak isn't a bad thing per se, as long as you're able to look back behind you and realize that you've been climbing the entire time. So I don't know. If you're dealing with the challenge of self-doubt today, if that's something that's bugging you, something that's bothering you, something that's making you feel like, I don't think I can get over that hill, I don't think I can do that, I don't have the answers for you. I don't know how to turn that off, but I will say that what I'm realizing now is that maybe it's not about learning to not doubt yourself, but it's more about learning to appreciate the fact that you have been climbing. And even if you're scared of the next step, and even if you don't know what the next step's going to be, as long as you're still stepping, you're winning. So yeah, that's my thought for the day today. I also want to say happy birthday. If my niece hears this, my closest thing in the world I have to a daughter, if my niece hears this, happy birthday. I love you. So proud of everything you're doing, everything you're going through. I'm actually going to call you after this now that I think about it. But yes, thank you for that. Thank you for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Yeah. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.